Yeah, they're doing well actually. You know, they've trained really hard, the boys. You know, as it's well documented, we went away for some warm weather training, and they applied themselves very, very well. And we're hoping that we can translate it to the game, the next couple of games.
You went away, as you said. How's that helped? How's the spell in Dubai helped?
Well, I'm hoping that we'll see that in the next couple of games. But you know, some of the work that we did, we probably couldn't have got in over here, and based on the weather and the pitches, and our training ground needed a little bit of a rest. So I thought it was very good that we went, and I think the players appreciated it. We were able to work longer, and the players were able to bond a little bit as well.
And you take on obviously Arsenal, who have been playing sort of 2 games a week.
Yeah.
Is that something you can capitalise on? And if so, how?
We're not looking at really worrying about, you know, their level of fatigue or not fatigue, because they're actually a fantastic technical team, and they can take anybody apart in the world at any time if they turn up on the day. So we're not focusing on you know, what they've done and what they, you know, what they've got to offer. We're more focusing on ourselves, and just seeing if we can play to the best of our capabilities.
Arsene's just been speaking, obviously, ahead of the game. It's talked about expects nothing but commitment from your side, but also says you're fighting against not just Arsenal but the fear of the drop. Is that something that you are? Or?
Well, obviously, I think anybody in and around that area is always fighting against the fear of the drop, because everybody wants to play in the Premier League. But you know, it'd be right to say that we are fighting, and it'd be right to say that the drop is always something that adds a little bit more pressure.
Is the break allowed you to get any more players back from injury?
Yeah, a few of the players trained intensely, and you know, some of the players who had niggly injuries are now going to be in contention, hopefully, in the next few games. So we're very pleased with the way the medical staff have handled that, and the application of the players when they were out there training.
You've been without Joey Barton for the next 3 games through suspension. Is that disappointing?
Of course, because it's disappointing, because Joey is a wholehearted player that has been on board since we've come in. He's really helped the other players to have that fighting spirit, and he's always going to be a big loss to have someone like that out of the team. But we got players like Sandro back in contention. And maybe Nedum might be, and Isla might be in contention as well for the next couple of games. So we have to look on the positive side of it. Yeah, Joey's a loss, but you know, we have to make sure that we use the squad as best we can, and that everybody does their part.
Changing tacks a little, just to kick it out, of released their report this morning showing an increase in the number of reports of racism and homophobia of football. Is that something that concerns you?
I think from a not from a footballing point of view, just from a being a member of the British society, it would concern me. So, like I've said before, a lot of these problems are not really football related. So they just happen to manifest themselves in this arena. You know, people can see it more clearly. So, from that point of view, it will concern me more as a member of you know, British society.
Is it frustrating then, because you see all the work the clubs do, and yet we still see these, you know, the increase in reports?
Well, I don't think that it's any more or any less than it was. What it is that people are now braver in standing up and making the public aware that this is going on. And I think, you know, when you look at it, homophobia is something that has always been there, and the problem is that people were even more frightened to bring that to the public limelight than racism. So, you know, it's good in a way that there's more awareness, but obviously it needs addressing throughout society.
We also have the sad passing of Dave Mackay. I just want to get your thoughts on it.
Well, Dave Mackay was somebody, you know, that you watched growing up. You know, back in the day when you could really get stuck into somebody, he was there, and you know, he'd been a great servant and a great captain for all the teams that he played for, and it's always sad to see someone, a legend like that, leave us.
Chris, 2 consecutive home games coming up. Not that long ago, that would have been cause for optimism and maybe confidence about getting points, but the home form's obviously tailed off. Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, I think it's still a reason for optimism. I mean, you know, we gave away a last-minute goal against Southampton, which was disappointing. But I thought the players played their part in making that quite a tense finish at the end. You know, we've tried to address some of the mistakes and why they come out in Dubai, and hopefully that they'll be eradicated in the next game. But I think it's an optimistic time for us in the next 2 games, and the crowd of, like I said, you know, we went to Hull and there was 2,000 people there, and they were absolutely fantastic. And if they can keep that up for us, and the players can give them reason for them to shout and back us, then, you know, I'm not saying fingers crossed because I don't believe in luck, but I think we can create our own little bit of luck if we go out with the same attitude as we did in the last few games.
Is it a bit ironic, or maybe even a bit frustrating, that after all the talk about the away form, you finally get that monkey off your back, but it coincides with the home form starting to peter out?
Well, I wouldn't say the home form's petering out. You know, I was just saying that we lost the game. You know, I thought we did okay. You know, had it not been for a magnificent save by the Southampton keeper, you know, things might have been different. So I think the home form will maintain itself, and I think that these next 3 games are going to be very important for us to show what we can do.
You spoke about, you know, the issue of maybe the fear of the drop that everyone's concerned about. But do you think now, looking at the table, it's maybe that bottom 6 that are battling to avoid the drop?
To be honest with you, I very rarely look at the table. What I do is I do say to the players that we need to get to a certain points level, and whatever the other teams do is going to be irrelevant.
What is that certain points level?
I don't know, but I think historically it's been between 37 and 40 historically, but you know, we know that if we can get 4 or 5 wins, that we're going to be there right till the end.
So is that 37-point target what you're setting the players as a?
Well, the target is win every game that you can. You know, so it's. I don't think we have the luxury of setting a target. I think what we have to do is take each game as it comes. I know that's a cliche, but I know we have to take the next game, Arsenal, and make sure that whatever happens, we get a positive result. And then we know we've got Tottenham coming up. We need a positive result there, and then we go to Crystal Palace, who are flying at the moment. So there's no easy games in this arena.
And just finally from me, speaking about no easy games, Arsenal, that Monaco game aside, they've actually been on a very good run of results domestically.
Yeah, no, listen, Arsenal are a fantastic club, fantastic team, so we know that it's going to be a difficult game, but we can't really worry about what they're going to do. We have to worry about what we're going to do.
Thanks, Chris, with Joey suspended and Richard Dunn injured, have you selected the captain for the next couple of games?
No, I haven't. I haven't selected a captain at all. We'll talk about that probably later on today with the staff. You know, with Kevin Hitchcock and Kevin Bond. We'll have a chat.
Are you confident from having worked with the lads for as long as you have that there's someone who's good enough and has got the qualities to step in and do it?
I think there's one or two. I mean, the senior players have impressed me with the way that they've talked to the other players around, and I think there's 1 or 2 that can step up. But you know, ultimately, as you know, football, the captaincy in football is not like it is in other sports like cricket or rugby. The captaincy is, you know, obviously important to a point, but it's about each individual taking their responsibility to do their job, and then if other people are not doing their jobs, to give them little reminders that they need to.
Can I ask you about Sandro? It was a bit bittersweet. He made his comeback for the under-21, so he was sent off in that game. But there's no suspension occurred, though, is there?
As far as I know, there isn't. As far as I know, there isn't.
He was under a bit of a rash challenge that he reacted to. Have you spoken to him at all about it? You've been worried. He seemed to be a bit nervous about being on the receiving end of tackles, obviously with the terrible injuries that he's had.
When you have the amount of injuries he's had, of course you're going to be concerned, and he's going to be concerned about you know, receiving challenges that are unlawful. But that's not really Sandro's nature in the past. He's not been the type of player to fly off the handle and you know, get himself sent off.
Was it just then frustration at the tackle, do you think?
I didn't see the game because it was played here and we were in Dubai at the time, so I didn't see the game, so I don't know, and I haven't really focused on that coming back in. But you know, Sandro knows he's in contention now for the next few games, and the best thing for us is that he's fit and he's worked very, very hard to get himself in shape so that, you know, he can be ready for selection.
Will you be watching Hull against Sunderland tonight? Because with the way that the points are sitting at the moment, that could be a really crucial game for you, getting further out of that sort of mire.
Yeah, I mean, it's an important game for the people in the bottom part of the division, and I'm sure that, you know, whatever the result, I still think we need to say to ourselves as a club, you know, if you win 4 or 5 games before the end of the season, you're going to be there or thereabouts. So I think really what we need to do is really just focus on what we're going to do, because whatever happens in that game, we can't really control that.
Simon? Chris, I know you're also concentrating on the football side of things, but how good is it that the financial figures yesterday were better than many feared, given the threat of massive fines from the Football League that people have been talking about?
To be honest with you, it sounds like good news, but I don't really know the ins and outs of that. And I've never really, you know, having come to the club, I've never really looked at that situation. But it sounds like good news, but I don't know the ins and outs of it. The accountants have better set to deal with that.
There's been a lot of concern that if QPR do go down, they're going to get. There's been talk they're going to be whacked with like a £40–50 million fine, which would obviously be crippling for the club. But I suppose you're just thinking, avoid any kind of fine and just keep the club up.
That's all I'm thinking. I'm just thinking, can we get to a certain points level that keeps us in the division? And that's all the players want to focus on, and that's what the staff have all focused on. And you know, we let people in the other parts of the club, the money men, deal with that situation.
And this is what I'm trying to think. It's in the 4th game, Charles?
I think it's the 4th game. I think.
So how does it feel coming up against Arsene, who's had quite a few more than that?
He's had quite a few more than that. It's an honour to be sat in a dugout next to him, but obviously we're going to be wanting to beat them. So you know, it's an important situation for the club, and you know, being next to Arsene in the dugout will be an honour. But you know, we're not overawed by it. You know, he's got a job to do, and I've got a job to do.
Is he a manager that you've sort of like admired over the years, and someone you'd like to perhaps sort of, you know, take things from? And
yeah, I mean, I think you'd be a fool to not look at somebody like that with his experience and his philosophies and not learn from him. You know, he's been brilliant for the game, brilliant for Arsenal, and I think most people in the game worldwide would admire him.
Is it, as seems to be every year at the moment with Arsenal, a lot of talk about his job and whether he should stay or go. Do you think, even from your QPR angle, that you'd like him to? You think it's unfair the way sort of people perhaps sort of think, given the light of Monaco and all the pressure he's under, that he should sort of stay on? He's good for the English game.
I would love to see Arsene stay in the English game for as long as he wants to. He's been fantastic for the game, and you know, the way that his teams have played over the years that he's been there have been, you know, have been really good for young coaches to see and young players to see, and he's enhanced the game no end.
In a way, you're sort of both under pressure for different reasons. He's sort of under pressure to keep Arsenal top 4, and you're obviously under pressure to keep QPR at the bottom 3.
I would love to have his pressure.